So it's often a lot of fun when you get this kind of hook to immerse yourself into the music of an artist or band that you really like quite a bit, that maybe you haven't listened to all that much in recent times, recent weeks, months, years, whatever it is, but someone you really, really like a lot. And then it invigorates your love for that band or artist all over again, right? That's kind of why I wanted to do this little video today. I'm Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Thanks for watching. That artist is Frank Marino, either Frank Marino solo or Frank Marino on Mahogany Rush. I kind of look at them as kind of the same thing. Canadian guitar player, 70-year-old Frank Marino of Italian descent, just like myself, who thrilled audiences throughout the 70s with his guitar playing skills, but never really got the attention and success that he probably really deserved. One of those guys that I think one of the most underrated guitar players of all time. If you're like into guitar players, right, or you play guitar and whatnot, you know how great Frank Marino is. But like in the grand scheme of things, probably one of the guys that like never comes up in conversations half the time when you're talking about the greats of the 70s, right? You know, talk about Jimmy Page and Ritchie Blackmore and Ted Nugent and, you know, all the other great players of that time period. But you don't often hear Frank's name come up. And, you know, recently I picked up the Rock Candy reissues of a few of his classic albums from the 70s. Not all of them. They released a few of them. And those specifically are The Power of Rock and Roll and Juggernaut. Now we're going to move it into the 80s here, right, of course. And What's Next, as well as the classic live album, Frank Marino Mahogany Rush Live. And, you know, I've been listening to these, and the remasters are great and whatnot, and just kind of reminding myself once again of what an immense talent this guy is. An absolutely immense talent. And, you know, I did a couple of episodes on Guitar Hack's channel recently about, you know, great guitar tone and bad guitar tone, where we did 2 successive episodes in a row kind of talking about that. And you know, I've done various shows here on the channel over the years. Like we used to do the Guitarist Corner show here, and we did episodes on guitar tone, right? And I don't know if I ever included Frank Marino in any of those episodes. For whatever reason, when I think of like, you know, pristine, amazing guitar tone, you know, I think of guys like John Sykes and, you know, there's countless others. But man, I've been listening to these albums over the last, like religiously over the last like 2 weeks, and I'm like, holy shit. Like Frank Marino, what a monster tone on these albums. And I've seen Frank Marino live, and he just absolutely slayed me live, and I thought he had great guitar tone live as well. I mean, just listen to his molten guitar tone on this live album here. I'm going to talk about other live albums in just a minute. Absolutely incredible. Never mind just the skills of this guy. I mean, his tone is monstrous, you know, playing this Gibson SG guitar through whatever amps he's using, I don't know, but like even on like molten tone on What's Next. I mean, go listen to stuff like Mona, where he's doing these kind of metallic, funky licks, but they're so crystal clear, the clarity, but just like, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man, that riff in the beginning, just lethal, right? You got Livin'. Something's coming our way. His kind of cascading solo in there, just amazing. Strange Dream, the title track to Juggernaut. So many songs off The Power of Rock and Roll. You know, Crazy Miss Daisy, and just Ain't Dead Yet. And his ability to write and record these songs that they're kind of funky. They're very heavy. They're kind of psychedelic. I mean, he goes through phases, right? But like, you know, you listen to the music of Frank Marino, like listen to some of this stuff. You know, I'm a guy, right? So, but you listen to some of this music and it's heavy and it's groovy and it's funky and it's kind of trippy. It's like, it's oddly very sexy too, right? It's just there's this aura about it, and that guitar tone and all the little things he does. And when he goes into a solo, it's just like, oh my God, it's just so amazing. But, you know, if we go back a little further, like if we go back to the early stuff like Maxum or Child of the Novelty or Strange Universe, which are the first 3 albums, this is very different stuff. This is like very much, you know, early 70s psychedelic, jazzy, bluesy rock, right? It's not the heavier. I mean, there are some heavier tracks mixed in here, but this is definitely different. This is, again, more highly influenced by like Axis Bold as Love and Electric Ladyland, Jimi Hendrix, I would think. It's that got that kind of psychedelicness to it. It's got that, there's pop and there's like lots of jazz, and there's a lot more vocal oriented stuff, and there's plenty of instrumental explorations. But this is the more trippy stuff of its era. And but there's still blazing guitar work on here, but it's not the more arena rock ready Frank Marino that would start to come shortly there afterwards. Like you start to hear a little bit of that on Frank Marino Mahogany Rush 4, which is an album I've often cited as one of my favorites in the catalog, specifically because it's got some great tracks on here that, for my money, sound even better on the live album, right? Like The Answer and Dragonfly. Great songs. Again, they're kind of like trippy, psychedelic, hard rock songs. But man, on the live album, they go, Little Sexy Annie. You got For the Emperor is just great. I'm Going Away, Killer Jive Baby. Really, really good stuff on there too. Maybe not some of the early stuff is not as greatly produced, I think. I think some of these other later albums just sound immense. We start to get some better produced stuff on World Anthem, which is another really, really great track. You got Requiem for a Sinner on here, which is terrific. Hey Little Lover, so good. In My Ways, terrific. That's a great track. And man, the scorching emotional guitar solo, and that's so good. The World Anthem is great. Try for Freedom is killer. Really, really good stuff on here. Still hitting on some of the psychedelic early things, but still starting to move more into that kind of direction. Here you got Tales of the Unexpected. I always love that album cover. So here we've got, this is like one of those kind of half studio, half live things, right? Great stuff. An amazing, amazing interpretation of All Along the Watchtower, right? Because he would do like Hendrix covers. Obviously, that's a Bob Dylan cover ultimately, but he does the song a little bit different than Jimmy did it. It's kind of similar, but he has his own. He puts his own stamp on it, which is really cool. Sister Change is the kind of this propulsive, just kind of oozing track, which to me is a precursor to Strange Dream. Like if you like Strange Dream off of the Juggernaut album, and that was a mild radio hit here, Sister Change is kind of like the precursor to that. It's got a similar kind of feel, nice use of synths in that, and kind of like this bubbling bass, and it's not like overly guitar heavy, like kind of like Strange Dream, right? Really cool. But yeah, there's some cool stuff. Tales of the Unexpected is just mind blowing on here. Then you got like some more bluesy stuff from the live tracks on here. But yeah, I mean these albums here are just, these two are killer. Absolutely killer. And I would urge anybody who has even a passing interest in Frank Marino, if you have like the early CD versions of these, which didn't sound all that good. These sound great, and man, these just come to life. Just so good. I mean, I think the production on these albums are just absolutely killer. Just molten guitar tones all over it. Same thing on Juggernaut too. I mean, Stories of a Hero, that solo to kick out the song at the end is just so good. Ditch Queen is just killer. Midnight Highway, so good. But he would run into problems with the record label. He was always at odds with the record label, and he was like, you know what, I got to get out of this contract because these guys aren't doing anything for me. I mean, he was out there touring constantly, and mostly as an opener, not making any money. And these albums didn't sell much of anything at all. Sadly, they weren't pushing any of this stuff on radio. And granted, this is very guitar-oriented music, so maybe that's not surprising. But he would eventually go and break away from a major label and release a couple albums, on smaller labels, right? You've got From the Hip and Full Circle, which came out afterwards. And these, I think most people sleep on because this is like going into the 80s and past those classic days. But there's some great stuff on here that it falls in line with those classic years. So I would say definitely don't sleep on these albums. They're really, really strong. And, these would be the last studio records from him for quite some time until we got this album, which is called Eye of the Storm. which was another Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush album, because all those other ones I just showed you, those last few, were all listed as just Frank Marino, even though he says it, whether it's Frank Marino or Frank Marino Mahogany Rush, it's the band. It's not, but he's got the main name here. But I remember when this came out, and this was like, what, 2000, 2001, something like that. This was the first new album of new material in quite some time. And this is it's kind of spiritual. It's some of the lyrical content and the way the music is kind of laid out, but it's more in line, I think, with the earlier stuff. It's not like big, booming arena rock Frank Marino. It's more of that kind of like atmospheric and very psychedelic Frank Marino. Lots of great guitar on here, though. Lots of great guitar. Ordinary Man. It's a long album too. It's like 72 minutes long. But like Eye of the Storm, the title track is great. He's Calling is so good, so good. Heat of the Moment is another big epic track, and there's a lot of long songs on here. Ordinary Man is 11 minutes long as well. Avalon's great. Great guitar work on here, and some of these songs would make it into the Frank Marino live repertoire. In addition to the live album I talked about here, which is amazing, and like the covers on here are really great too. I mean, killer version of Purple Haze. Johnny Be Good is blazing on here, and I just absolutely love at the end of Who Do You Love? Right, another cover, he goes into this unaccompanied guitar solo that is just shredding balls. I mean, this guy probably was the greatest shredder of the 70s that nobody ever credits with being the greatest shredder of the 70s. But he goes from Who Do You Love into an unaccompanied blistering guitar solo, then into Electric Reflections of War, which is just mind-blowing, where he's using the vibrato bar on his Gibson SG and various effects in his pedal board, and it's just like the second coming of Jimi Hendrix, Star Spangled Banner that type of thing. All these amazing wild sounds and whatnot, and machine guns and just explosions and bombs and just killer. But there's some great stuff on here. Talking About a Feeling is terrific on here. I mentioned Johnny Be Good. You got Backdoor, a little bit of Backdoor Man on here. I'm a King Bee. Dragonfly is great on here. The Answer is great on here. It's just amazing. An amazing live album. But then you got this one, which was originally released. I forget exactly what year this originally came out, but this is Double Live, which is really good, which has, you got Livin', Midnight Highway, Free, Poppy, the first appearance in a live album of Poppy, which is this great lengthy jazz instrumental, right, with some amazing guitar playing on it, just so good. Roadhouse Blues, Who Do You Love, Guitar Prelude, Electric Reflections Revisited, Sky Symphony to a Little Town, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Juggernaut, Strange Dreams, and Something's Coming Our Way. Killer live album. And this has had various CD releases over the years. I've had this a couple times, but they released this with Something's Coming Our Way on here, which I had to get, so I got that. And then there's the Real Live Plus, which came out in 2004. So this is post the Eye of the Storm album. Right, so here we have Frank incorporating old classics, covers, and stuff from that album into a double disc set. This is ridiculously good. So this almost like takes this to the next level, because here almost every track, there's epic stuff all over the place here, but there's lots of all little brief things and interludes and little short tracks and covers and things like that. He opens up with Voodoo Child, right, which is great. Something's Coming Our Way, a little excerpt from that. Then He's Calling, which is almost 15 minutes long. That's from the last studio album. He does Red House on here. You got a little prelude to Stories of a Hero. Stories of a Hero is absolutely immense on here. The guitar tone will slay you. A near 18-minute version of Poppy. A quick little version of She's Not There, right? The classic track. You got a little bit of Crossroads here. You got Return Back to She's Not There, then finishing up with Poppy. So it's almost like the Poppy medley, which is literally about 25 minutes long. Starts with the full Poppy, and then you got these couple little covers, and then they end with Poppy. It's just great. Then you got on disc 2, you got Strange Universe. You got Ode to Creation, more Strange Universe. You got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got Ain't Dead Yet, Slipping and Sliding, Back to the Hall. 2 and 4. Again, a lot of brief little songs, little medleys and things. You got Avalon from the last studio album. You got Tales of the Unexpected's on here. You got Electric Reflections of War. You got World Anthem, Prayer for Peace, and then Try for Freedom. and Somewhere Over the Rainbow as well. But then you got the Try for Freedom, which finishes it up at nearly 13 minutes long. It's just ridiculous. Just so much guitar. And I remember seeing him right around that time at BB King's in New York City, and it was like a 3-hour show. And I remember just sitting there, and I was in absolute awe. I don't think I've ever seen or heard a guitar onslaught at a concert in my entire life, and I've been to a lot of concerts, like I got that night. And I was just like, man, there's just nothing this guy can't play. And, again, we're talking later on in his career, right? And he is still shredding up the storm, but playing with feel, so fast, can play so technical, but he's doing like pentatonic stuff that nobody's, just playing it in a way that just will blow your mind. And the tone was just amazing the whole night. And he's a really good singer too. Just amazing. So fast forward a bunch of years, and he had been working on what he was going to call the ultimate Frank Marino live album or live video, right? So he recorded a whole day's worth of show of a performance at the Agora Theater. But they had all sorts of technical difficulties, and some stuff wasn't recorded, or some of the files were missing or something. He had to kind of painstakingly recreate certain aspects of the recordings to be able to release this. And he spent so much time and money. It was kind of like a labor of love, and probably a lot more labor than that. But we finally got this box set live at the Agora Theater, which, like I said, it's hours and hours of performance from Frank Marino and the band, and amazing. I need to sit down and rewatch this again, because it's been a few years. I watched it twice when it first came out, and I haven't revisited since. But just amazing. And this is probably going to be the last thing we're ever going to get from him, because he had to retire. I believe it was 2020 or 2021. He announced that he was ready to go on a small tour, but I guess he got some sort of a health thing going on where he can't tour anymore. He can't go out on the road. I was kind of hoping that maybe we'd get something else from him from a recorded perspective, like a studio thing, but it's now been, 4 or 5 years and we haven't gotten anything. So I'm not really sure. There hasn't really been any updates or anything specific on exactly what went wrong with him, but he cannot tour anymore. So he had to retire from any live shows. And like I said, hopefully at some point, someday, we'll get something else from him as far as some new recorded work. But as of yet, there's been nothing. But if you can get yourself a copy of this live at the Agora Theater, Blu-ray, DVD set, big, thick booklet, it's amazing. It's amazing. And his performance is just mind-blowingly good. And you get a nice booklet with all sorts of vintage photographs and more recent photographs and stuff from the show, the actual show itself. I mean, this is for Frank Marino fans, you have to have this. And I remember how excited all of us Frank Marino fans were when this finally came out, because it was he had been talking about it for years, and then he ran into the difficulty with the recordings, and it's just oh no, So yeah, it's great. I need to rewatch, obviously. But again, the purpose of doing this whole video today is just to kind of once again revisit and talk about the greatness of Frank Marino, one of the most incredible guitar players we've ever had. And if you've never really given his albums and his music a chance, I really think you owe it to yourself if you like guitar-oriented music that's kind of bluesy and funky and certainly hard and heavy rock, even jazzy at times. It incorporates a little bit of everything. Go listen to any of these albums, right? There's plenty of them. These are easy to get. Like I said, you got the 4 reissues from Rock Candy that came out a few years ago that are totally worthwhile to check out. And the live stuff is really where it's happening, right? The studio stuff is great too, but man, live, he just takes it kicks it up another couple of notches, people, let me tell you. So one of the great guitar players of all time, an amazing Canadian musician, Frank Marino, kind of my little discussion point of today. So because I've been in a Frank Marino rut, and I don't see myself getting out of it anytime soon. I can't wait to go get to the gym today and play another album while I'm working out. So that's kind of the way it's been all week. I've been playing them in the car, just here at the house, nonstop. So So give us your thoughts on Frank Marino down in the comments below, and we'll see you soon here with more stuff. Go investigate some of his albums and let us know what you think. And we'll see you soon here. I'm Pete Pardo. This is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. We're on Instagram as well. I got to incorporate that in here. Let's try it again. Thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. It's Peter Pardo, S-O-T. That's the Instagram name. Just go find us. Follow us. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Did I just say that? We also have the links down below to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and the Sea of Tranquility membership options all down below. Thanks, everybody, for contributing. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you soon here with more music discussion on Sea of Tranquility. I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Stay tuned for Ranking the Albums tomorrow of Balance and Nashville Pussy, 2 episodes tomorrow morning here, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Take care. Bye-bye.